What is up, YouTube? It's pouring outside. I hope it adds some ambiance to this exciting video. Before I begin, you may notice this halo effect of Isaac Asimov's around me. They were something I printed when I was going to do my book review of The End of Eternity by Dr. Asimov. And then I forgot about them, so they stayed on over there on the floor. And then I remembered them, and I said, like, now is the moment, because this video has absolutely nothing to do with Isaac Asimov. So I'm working on two other videos right now that are taking a bit of editing, and I decided just to do a quick free rant. Not rant, not a rave either, just some kind of a discussion in which I talk about this idea that YouTube is a social network for magicians. I'm reading it like I didn't write it. So what do I mean by that? And what do I mean by that? 2 points, I guess. YouTube is a social network, and for magicians. Let's take them one at a time. I was getting a little too circusy there, wasn't I? This is like the normal part when I would pause, kind of regain composure, and then like, okay, that's where I need to edit, and then I'll begin again. But I'm just doing this on the cuff. Off the cuff? On the cuff. Some cuff is involved, and so the first part, that YouTube is a social network, let's talk about that. So we can be sure that Isaac Asimov would not be on that social network. But you think about social networks, I think most of the time we think about them as kind of things for people that we already know and that are generally kind of like Facebook closed groups, or you have privacy settings. Not necessarily, but and there are other things like TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, and so on that are more open. But like, I think YouTube is one of the great examples of like your primary audience is the unknown and the public, in which most of them you don't know in person, and you kind of have to kind of treat that differently, because every video could potentially be the first video that somebody finds of your videos. So you kind of want to make it, well, this is up to different people. They have different ideas about this. So you can make it as accessible or inaccessible as you want. I feel I can relate and converse more easily with the people whose videos I follow. And I don't know how many there are, probably like 100 people on my list on the left. And some of them I barely remember subscribing to. Some of them I like know, like every video they make I watch, but some of them it's kind of depends. But the point is, I feel like, compared to, like, for example, my Facebook friends who, I have a Facebook. Do I use Facebook? Not really. I don't update. I haven't updated it in like 5 years. And even other people's, I don't look at what's it called, their feed, the wall or whatever. I don't look at it unless like I'm kind of curious, or somebody messages me on Facebook. I use the Messenger more than I use Facebook. The video is pretty good, but like all video services, Skype, Zoom, whatever, Google, they're all just, they're using this as data too. This is teaching us to model, like, how can we create human like interface, something that you can interact with. Like all these hand motions are being like mapped by these services, and your intonation, the things you say, every word is being scanned and like studied. All that is just more data. But I use them all, but I'm just saying, like, be aware of what you say and do on these video platforms. Anyways, back to Facebook. I don't really keep up on, like, there are people I communicate with, but I think that, like I said, the direct communication is more relevant than, like, there are people on there I haven't talked to in maybe decades, and like, it's kind of amazing. Like, it's kind of neat every now and then, like, oh, what are they up to? I'll look, but a lot of them, like, I'd be amazed if I ever communicate with again. But YouTube people that are still making, I guess the thing that I'm seeing right now is that people are fascinated by the present moment. The big thing with streaming, the big thing with reaction videos, they want to know how are people reacting to the present moment. So it's fascinating. Like, I was watching these guys, I don't know their names, but their title is Twins Trend. I don't remember the name, but I'll put it here. They're very popular on YouTube, And it's fascinating though, their format, because a lot of times they're just like bobbing their heads and listening to music, and it's more like a party. And I think that's the direction that video is taking right now, when so many people cannot hang out with a bunch of different people like we're supposed to socially isolate. So we hang out online instead, but you kind of miss being able to communicate with large groups of people. I think the direction this is going is that the next thing is we're going to have these grids of streams, so you can have like, it'll be like a party. You'll have like 20 streams, and you can, keep an eye on who's doing what and what they're doing, and you kind of visually, I'm sure there'll be different ways of interacting with it. You can even use that as data that you can connect to like a bodysuit that creates different sensations around the world, kind of mapping your nervous system. But I'm just saying, like, there are going to be different ways to interact with, let's say you have 20 people up here at once. It's like a party. You say, oh, I want to talk to that person. You maybe click on them, maybe open a dialogue. Other people can watch the dialogue, or you can make it private. Fascinating different things. But that's the model that I'm seeing developing, is this party model of communication. Now, it's going to be different. Like, the thing is, a lot of this video right now, especially with multiple users, is used for things like work and school, which are kind of supposed to be a little more rigid in their like instructions and how things work. So that party model, how will that work when maybe it's like people will it'll just be like in real life. We have areas like school and work where you can go to, and you have to be much more prepared and responsive and communicative, but you also have other places like parties that, it's just do whatever you want. So how is YouTube like a social network like that? In the sense that I think almost everybody that I follow on YouTube, I would love to do some YouTube video collaboration with, because anybody that does videos, I know certain things about them, in that I guess I have more, I can relate to them better. Like knowing somebody does YouTube videos, that they have to create something that people see, and that they have to have at least some level of communicability to relate to an audience, that tells me a lot about people. So I'm much less likely to meet a person in person than if they don't have a channel, and show that they're creating stuff. So that's fascinating that effect is taking place. I'm reading this book, wonderful book. I'm going to talk about it more soon, called Live Wired by David Eagleman, and he's talking about these new senses that are going to be developed, or that can be created. I see that so much. I think, the way that we have apps now, that's going to be the direction that we're going to be taking, except in the future, it's going to be for our entire body, our entire nervous system. If we want to have a certain sense, we'll download that app, and being able to modify our physical structure, our genes, is going to be like the way that we ought to, that we modify our computers now. So, man, I'm just rambling. So I tend to trust people more, and knowing that it's a certain skill set too that comes from having to do this all the time. There's a lot of things involved, and people are better at different parts of it, just like any broad art. It's interesting too how I'm writing here that we are steered to channels we will enjoy, and it feels like the channels are created just for us. But I guess that's how it works in real life too. Like, we meet people that are our friends, and that they seem like they're just for us, right? I was thinking about how many people I know in real life who have YouTube channels or some kind of public discourse channel, and I think it's not that many. I want to say it's under 10. I don't know. Like, I'm sure there are people out there too that have them that I don't know have them, and that's interesting too. But I did go, when I was living in a large city, I'm not right now, but when I was in a large city, I did go to a YouTube group, like a group of about 10 people that all did YouTube. That was fascinating, because that felt like almost too, like when you have that many, and I can't even imagine what something like VidCon, where you have hundreds or thousands of video makers, everybody with their own different way of seeing the world. It just felt very pronounced. like that was maybe too much. Yeah, I think it comes down to being able to project ideas, a different conception of the other and who is somebody that you would communicate with. For me, if somebody leaves a comment and it's, a polite comment, and I don't care who you are, you can be anyone, and like if it's an honest, interesting comment, then that's great. But I think some people just don't have that openness to the world and dialoguing with anybody. Maybe it's therapeutic too, in that you conceive of the idea that communication is possible between strangers, and it doesn't matter if you're making cupcake videos or like my channel, you're trying to take over the world. It doesn't matter. You still have that conception of the other. It does still have the same drawbacks, though, of any social network, in the sense that these companies want our data, and their purpose is mainly just to make more money and to develop AI. So that's something to be aware of, but I guess I've chosen to participate in that conversation rather than just avoid it altogether. Not everybody's going to make that choice, I understand. It's also kind of altered my conception of what I want to do in friendship, like people that I hang out with. And I'm not I'd say like most of my social life right now is online. I mean, it was going that way before coronavirus, and then coronavirus just basically cemented it. But I will be moving back to a city at some point soon, so it will be a different experience. But the people that I want to hang out with, I think, will still be the people that want to make stuff, not just the people that want to, like, watch Netflix or whatever. I want to actually be making music, be making videos and art, because that's like how I want to use my time. So I'd much rather collaborate with people that also want to do that, rather than, it's I forget the quote, and maybe this is just a concept, but it's easier to find the people out there that are already like that, rather than to try to change the people that aren't like that to that. Does that make sense? It also has taught me to regularly create things, and I think that is part of what I mean when I'm talking about magicians, because yeah, all art is magic, all programming is magic. These are all magical processes, but I'm talking specifically about creating an avatar of yourself online. Believe it or not, I'm actually not sitting in front of these Isaac Asimov things and talking to you right now. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sleeping, or I'm making another video or something right now, but I'm not making this video. And you're like, how is that possible? Well, for me, it is possible. So that is a magical process. All these things that involve software are magical processes, but I think there's just something about video like this that is really magical, and that has changed my life. Everybody I know that does video long enough, it will change your life in incredible ways. It really is like adding a new sense to your view of the world. So I think, I don't know, I like it. I'm fascinated by video and the developing social network, but we're going to see where it goes. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Talk to you later. Bye.